All right, hello, wonderful students. We're back, same group of people that you've seen the last couple of times with a new topic this week. This week, we're going to be talking about respect. Um, so I'll kind of kick things off. We see a little funky dance from Mr. Cassidy there. He's always good for a funky dance. Respect is an important topic to me. It sort of became important to me after I became a teacher. For a long time, I felt the way I think a lot of people do about respect is, which is that it's something that you have to earn from someone. When you first meet them, you don't necessarily respect them, but then you have to earn that over time. And I've heard so many people say, like, you've really earned my respect, or perhaps in confidence, they'd say that person so and so has not earned my respect. And I just started getting to thinking about it. And I thought to myself, I understand where there are potentially some other elements of human interaction and thought and feeling that perhaps do need to be earned. But what if respect was an investment that we made in each other at the point of first meeting someone? We all have enough in common, I think, on planet Earth. I think it's safe to say that we probably could just sort of, at the outset of meeting someone new, respect them for their humanity and for how far they've gotten in life and for doing what they do. It's really changed my outlook on life, and when I meet someone new, just automatically thinking to myself, this is therefore someone I respect. And it just, I think it makes things feel like they kick off much more positively when you're in a new setting. I personally, even at the age of 38, I still get very nervous around new people and strangers. And I know that when I lead with respect, when I actually think to myself, I'm going to respect these people before I hear anything that they necessarily have to say, it opens me up. It helps me to open up. So, Arto, I'd like to kick it over to you because early in my career, you were one of the people who showed me immediate respect and helped me to ultimately learn this lesson, which I really appreciate.
Well, that's nice to hear. And it's funny because earlier when I first arrived to Belmont, you were one of the people that I was reaching out to because I had respect for you to kind of help me. We have such similar programs in Belmont, Lexington. So when I arrived here, certainly the Lexington folks were my first call, and you were top of that list. And actually, it's funny because I have this little notepad where I'm scribbling my ideas down, and right under respect, I wrote, "It should not have to be earned." Like I have the exact same thought that that idea that respect is something to be earned. Um, I just fundamentally disagree with. I mean, it depends, I guess, on how we define respect, right? Because basic human respect is something we should give to everyone. So you're a teacher and you walk into a classroom, your students do not have to earn your respect. They should be given your respect immediately. Same thing if you're a student walking into a new classroom and you have a new teacher or you have a new band director come to town or whatever it is, that person in no way, shape, or form needs to earn your respect. Your respect is given. I think what we do is we conflate respect with admiration, right? Like admiration is something that's earned over time, but respect is something that you should just be given right away. You can lose respect, certainly, over time, but by the way you behave and your actions. But to me, I think that's maybe where some of the problem is because we all think back to the teachers we've had or music teachers, especially, you think about how much respect you had for them. And really, I think what it was admiration for how hard they worked and how passionate they were about what they did. But it shouldn't have taken that to just earn basic respect and collegiality and cooperation.
Absolutely. I love that. And yeah, going back to how I felt you showed me respect early in my career, I think, you weren't quite a veteran yet, but you had a lot of experience under your belt, and you were automatically someone who I considered a mentor and who I looked up to. And the fact that from the first day we met, you treated me like an equal and we're already sharing a lot of things. And you sort of, the way you came across as like, yeah, sure, I have some things to say too, but I also have a
Mhm.
lot to learn. Yeah, just that attitude that
Yeah.
you led with made me feel so welcome.
Well, it's nice of you to say, and I think it's also not. I think it's worth saying because I think a lot of your Lexington students will know, that you worked with Jeff Leonard for many years, who was Justin's predecessor there in that role, and to me, he was always someone who gave that level of respect and compassion to me as a younger teacher. I think there's a thing where like kind of like the old veteran teachers, especially when they get to that level, in band world, especially kind of put themselves up on a pedestal and don't necessarily want to help the next crop. And Jeff was not like that at all. Was always so generous of his time and his advice. So it's and I know that he was an important mentor for you, obviously, as well.
Absolutely.
So again, it comes back to leadership, right? And what kind of tone does your leader set? What kind of culture does that person build? What kind of respect does that person give? And so, it's not surprising that you say you have had the experience that you've had.
Awesome. Yeah. Jared, sorry, not Jared. Well, Jared too. Jeff has been one of my most important and influential mentors. And he is to some extent my predecessor, but he was also my colleague for many years. And working closely with him, I learned a lot about respect as well. Jared, you're someone who I also sort of really admire for how you lead, as you put it, with a spirit of generosity. And you sort of you're always giving and open when you first begin a new relationship. So maybe you'd like to talk next. Muted.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen again. So yeah, I appreciate you said that. It goes back to relationships too. So like I know like respect or talking about respect, but I just take an opportunity to like everybody that you meet could have an amazing impact on who you are. So I like you said it, just lead with a spirit of generosity. That's like I should get that probably like a bumper sticker and put that across my forehead or something, because I use that phrase quite a bit, as you know. This idea of leading with a spirit of generosity, knowing who this person is, giving them a chance, really taking the time to invest in them as a person, even from the very beginning, is really important. And I think that, again, that's the same way Jeff was with me when I came to Lexington. Same thing with you and Arto and everybody that I've met along the way. It's just been wonderful. And it makes you as an individual feel so differently when you know someone is giving you that kind of respect, and that they see you as an equal, that you are someone of value to them. I think value is another part of respect as well. You value them not because of necessarily their craft or because of what they do, but because they value you as a human being, which is really, really important. Another thing I was going to say about respect is one has to respect themselves as well. And I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past, where like you're filling your cup to help support others and we're being servant leaders or whatnot. But being able to respect yourself is important in order for you to even respect other people. I think it's important, especially in the musical process or when you're in an ensemble, such as a band. The idea of respecting, where you are, meeting people where they're at. Like, I know for myself, I'm not the world's best clarinetist. At the same time, I respect my ability to really, really think, okay, what can I contribute? And I want to empower those around me. And I think that also, I guess these are coming up like with a lot of other topics that we've already talked about. It all comes back to this idea of just like investment in each other. And I think that in itself lends a really wonderful conduit for developing that level of respect and then making even more magical moments happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a disclaimer, I kind of tossed out the spirit of generosity thing before you had a chance to say it, but that is a Jared Cassidy thing 100%. I am stealing, as so many music teachers do from one another. It's part of our culture, right? Theft. So anyway, yeah, I mean, Jared, that's been something you've said from the beginning, and the reason why it comes to me so naturally to say now is because of how often you've used it and how effective it's been in my life, and observing that with you. I mean, that's something where you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk as well. So, Allie, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you. I 100% agree with what everybody said. And when I think about respect in a musical setting, I first go to people. Like we've talked so much about how we respect each other, but there's also a deep respect that I have for the music and the people that wrote it and the artists that have inspired us to, choose a piece of music that's been recorded or performed 1,000 times, and then make it our own. And that does go back to each other, because when you're in a rehearsal and you're, in the middle of a rehearsal cycle and the piece is really hard, you have a concert coming up, there has to be respect for the art that's been placed on your music stand, that you've been charged to, recreate and interpret on your own. And we've had conversations in Belmont about how we have to perform for each other in a rehearsal. And even in that sight reading rehearsal, it's not just thrown away because it's sight reading. And that there are probably going to be tons of mistakes, but there's passion and effort in all of that. And passion and effort to me in a rehearsal, that translates to respect, because why else are we there, right? We're there because we first, we want to be in the room with each other. We want to be playing and performing music at the highest level. But we also, like, we're there because at one point we decided to pick up an instrument and become musicians. And that was just showing respect to the art of music too. And we all wouldn't, I'd like to think that this group would be connected in some way, in some sort, but we're all really here because in 2016, I was a student at the American Band College, and Dr. Arau was one of our guest clinicians. I had never met him or heard of him before that summer, and he came up on stage and he gave a great clinic on leadership. And that interaction, really not an interaction, but just that observation of Dr. Arau and myself, that could have ended that day. But we as artists and musicians, you know, we choose our friendships and our relationships. And I respected so much of what he had to say and what he had to deliver to 200 band directors from all over the country and all over the world, that we're here today. We kept that relationship going, and we had these conversations that mattered, that inspired us to be better people and better directors. So Dr. Arau, what are your thoughts on respect and how that really gets you to that next step in your life?
Well, Ali, thank you also just for the really kind words, and the feeling is mutual. And I think this is what I'm observing today, as each guest on the screen is sharing about respect. Is we're hearing how Justin's feeling about Arto is lifted up because Arto showed him respect, and vice versa. Arto has a high opinion of Justin because Justin showed him respect, and you see that this back and forth, and this whole idea that when you give respect, it's given back, but it has to begin with giving. And I think that's the big thing. It's like, it's about giving. It's not about hoarding or taking or living in a feeling of scarcity. It's about living with a spirit of abundance, that there's no limit. Like, showing respect to a lot of people you don't use up respect. It's not like limited respect. There's unlimited respect. There's unlimited love to show others. There's unlimited kindness. And when you come from, as you said, like, fill up your own cup, right? And it does begin with self-love, self-compassion, self-respect. And this is a process, right? There's going to be times when you might feel some self-doubt and feel down. And that's when a friend is so necessary to come over and say, like, I believe in you. And we all need those friends. But you got to be there also for others. And it's this beautiful exchange that happens in band, right? And the word band, I just love it. It really means a group of people coming together for a common cause. Isn't that cool? And I say, that's our word. That's our word. We're the band, and we come together to support each other. And when you work in an environment filled with mutual respect, it's like this respect stew, right? Like, I respect you, you respect me, and now I'm able to become the best version of myself. And I love what Ali said about respecting the music, respecting the composer, respecting the process, that we're all in this together is so powerful. And I think, bringing your A game every day isn't about you. It's about everybody else, because they deserve your best. Right? So, like, leave the other stuff if you can, and just when you're in rehearsal, boom, I'm there and I'm giving it my best, and I'm doing my preparation at home because I respect you. I respect you. And so it's interesting how so much about what we're talking about comes back to giving and serving others, which, comes back to leadership. It comes back to what kind of culture have we created? Is it a culture led by fear, or is it a culture led by love? And it's a choice. It's a choice. But every single person matters. Every person in the group can make that choice and make a difference. And it can be this ripple effect. It just spread throughout the ensemble. So what an important concept. And we'll kick it back to Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that, of course. You alluded to the concept of paying it forward when you were talking there, and I think that it's absolutely it does relate back to everything we've talked about so far: culture, community, leadership. The idea that if you've been shown respect, then it's your responsibility to turn around and show respect to others. And if everyone adopts that role of paying it forward, then you can have such strong relationships within your culture and community. Well, thank you all, students. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation, and we'll see you in the next one.